Okay, good morning, and thank you for joining the Washtenaw County Road Commission's virtual construction information meeting about the safety project that's planned at the intersection of North Territorial Road and Dexter Town Hall Road in Dexter Township. My name is Emma Sharp, and I am the Communications Associate here at WCRC. I'll be the meeting host today, along with our project manager. This morning, I'm going to go over some housekeeping items before turning it over to staff for a presentation about the project, and then we will open the meeting up for your questions. Joining me in today's meeting is Project Manager of Design and Construction, James Hui. The meeting audio and video is being recorded, and it will be posted to the project page on wcroads.org in the next day or two. After the presentation, you'll be asked to virtually raise your hand during the Q&A. I will provide you instruction at that time on how to do this from either your computer, the Zoom app, or your touch tone phone. The chat feature for this meeting is turned on. If you have questions during the presentation, feel free to ask it during the Q&A period. You can find the chat window at the bottom of your screen. To turn on automatic captions, click the three dots located at the bottom of your screen. Okay, and the floor is yours, James.
All right, thank you, Emma. Good morning, everybody. My name is James. I will be the project manager on this safety project we're having here at North Territorial Road and Dexter Town Hall. I do want to preface this by saying that this is going to be a full closure. I know we've had a lot of questions about whether we can get through the intersection or not, but for us to safely do this work and to do it as fast and efficient as possible, the intersection will be closed for the entirety of the project. Looking at this page, the project location, this project is located at the intersection of Dexter Town Hall and North Territorial Road. And the red lines there indicate the approximate limits of where our road work will be. We will have pavement markings, signs, and other minor construction stuff that would happen east of these red lines, but they won't be impacting the traffic like this closure will be within the red lines. Next page. So as many of you may be aware, this is what the condition of North Territorial Road at the intersection looks like. This is looking west at the hill. This is the primary reason for this project, is for us to cut this hill down. We do understand that this is a hazard with the little sight distance people have going over that hill. So this project is allotted for us to cut this hill down and improve sight distance and hopefully have a much better and much safer intersection for motorists to cross through here. Next page. So funding and costs, we like to be as transparent and as possible about the funding. We have a mix of federal funding and Michigan transportation funding in this job. And the project overall is estimated to be about $2.1 million. Next page. So why? We talked about this a little bit before. There's a variety of things that we're trying to improve at this project, including the intersection, improving sight distances. You've probably noticed a lot of utilities that have been moving out there in the recent months. We are replacing the culvert east of this intersection that happens to flood pretty frequently, and we're raising the road to a certain extent around the intersection as well to try to prevent that flooding from happening in the future. Next page. So project overview, we will be removing trees. You might be noticing a lot of trees marked for removal now. The reason we mark these trees is that, one, they're either in our improvement limits where we have to remove these trees to widen the road and to improve the intersection, or if these trees are too close to the road where it could pose a danger for motorists, those trees are also marked for removal as well. And I believe that we have been in contact with a lot of residents out here on tree removals, and those that want the wood have been contacted as well. Again, we're replacing the culvert that's east of the intersection. We have noticed in the recent years that it does flood there, and we've noticed that the culvert is failing in that spot. So to add to this improvement project, we have included that culvert replacement, and we're raising the road over the culvert as well. And then the primary chunk of this work will be at the intersection itself. We're adding a left turn lane on North Territorial for both northbound and southbound Dexter Town Hall Road. And then, like I mentioned before, we will be doing minor work outside of the road construction limits. That's including center line rumble strips. This is typically implemented for roads that have high speed of travel, and we have noticed a lot of motorists traveling in the opposite lanes. And with the center line rumble strip, we'll be improving the signs and the pavement markings out here as well. And then the biggest portion of the job is to cut down this hill. We're cutting down this hill west of the intersection about 6 to 7 feet. So it's going to be a pretty significant difference after this job is done. And we do hope that it would be a significant improvement to the safety of this intersection as well. Next page. So here's a quick and simple map showing the limits of everything we're doing. The blue box, it's where our road closure will be. This is where the meat of our work will be for raising and lowering the road. The red circle is the culvert where the flooding happens. That will be completely closed for the replacement of the culvert and will be opened back up once the culvert's back in for residents to get in and out. And then the orange line is where we're doing the center line rumble strips. It will be from our western limits of the project all the way to Toma Road. And along the stretch as well, we will be replacing signs and renewing the pavement markings that are out here. Next page. So our contractor was awarded this job fall of 2023. We've been working with them through the state to just try to get all of our paperwork in order and everything ready to go. The contractor has elected to start work early with how warm the season has been. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we don't have any major weather restrictions, but we do hope that they try to finish prior to summer really hits and prior to a lot of the other projects we have slated for construction season this year. And they will be performing tree removals relatively soon here. I believe we are starting on the 29th, which is Thursday of this week, with tree removals. The reason we do it this early is because we do have environmental restrictions. They only allow us till basically the winter season to remove trees. So you will see the tree removals be happening relatively soon here. And the biggest impact of this job is that we will be removing all the pavement. We will be cutting down the hill, which is a significant is a significant removal of the road. So, which is why we're doing a full closure. There's really no safe way for people to drive through. We will be maintaining access for people that live within the project, but trying to get through the intersection is almost impossible when the road's all ripped out. And again, I mentioned earlier that we do expect them to, or we do hope that they finish, before the summer starts. They told us that they're expecting about 10 to 12 weeks of work to complete this project. Next page. So impact the traffic, I think we're just hammering on the same information over and over again, but I think it's very important to keep talking about it. Because one of our biggest concerns when closing a road is that, people just don't know. People aren't aware of it until they get to the closure. And at that point, I've done it myself where we panic and try to figure out how to get around it. So we do try to be as transparent as possible and communicate as early as possible. We've had signs out, message boards out, basically just indicating when we're starting the project. And we are just making sure that everybody on this meeting is aware that this closure is a full closure. Again, we will be making sure that all residents and businesses within our limits will have access in and out of the project safely. But for anybody else that's not within our project limits, you cannot make it, you cannot go through the intersection. Next page. So here's the detour. I know it's a long one. This is for North Territorial. It's this long because we are required to detour paved road with paved roads. So this is the map. I won't go through all of it. I'm sure any motorist will figure out, their best way around the project, but this is our recommended detour for North Territorial Road. Next page. And then this is our recommend detour for north and south on Dexter Town Hall Road. Next page. So to find out more, please go on our website and subscribe to updates. We do provide regular updates weekly, bi-weekly, I think. We will do our best to keep you posted because this is a very significant project that would deter a lot of motorists through this area. And you're always welcome to email me and call me whenever you need to. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Thanks so much, James.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to take just 1 second and I'm going to show everyone how to find the project webpage. So you're going to want to open an internet browser and you're going to type in our web address, which is wcroads.org. Then the homepage will pop up. At the top of the homepage, there's going to be this roadwork and construction option. You're going to want to click on current projects. Once you get there, you'll be able to see an interactive map of all the projects that we have taking place in Washtenaw County. If it'll load, just give me 1 second here. There we go. So here you can see different projects that we have taking place throughout the entire county. You can click on each project individually, or you can scroll down further and you'll be able to see project tiles for each of our individual projects. Here is the Dexter Town Hall Road and North Territorial Road Safety Improvement Project. Here you'll be able to see a general map of the location of the project, information regarding project details. If you scroll down a little bit further, you'll be able to see where project updates are going to be posted. This also includes like road advisories, information about meetings that you can join for this project. Over here, you'll find James's contact information on the right. You'll also find some helpful links. So we've got the design information meeting, which we hosted back in 2023. The recordings and the slideshow presentation are right here. And you can also find the Dexter Town Hall Road detour map and the North Territorial Road detour map here as well. When this meeting is uploaded to our website, this will be the place where you'll be able to find the recording for this meeting as well. I also recommend for anyone who's interested in staying up to date on this project to click on the subscribe to project updates. Here you'll be able to subscribe yourself to any advisories, project updates, any information regarding whatever project that you are concerned about. Okay. Aaron, I do see that you have your hand raised. Would you like to say something?
I would. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah.
So to introduce myself, I'm Aaron Burkholtz. I'm the Assistant Director of Engineering here at the Washtenaw County Road Commission. Again, I'll offer a few additional thoughts, but James will be the primary point of contact for this project. James is going to be involved daily on this job, working with Fonson, the MDOT contractor. Fonson, we've worked with them several times in the past. Their office is in Brighton, so they're local. And I refer to them as an MDOT contractor because when we work on a federal aid project such as this, the project is actually bid by and contracted through the Michigan Department of Transportation. So it is an improvement on the county road network. We administer the project, but actually the contract is held by MDOT. Just a point of clarification there. A couple of other things that I'll mention. There's been some rumors floating around that we're building a roundabout here. And we have great love for roundabouts here at the Road Commission. but we are not building a roundabout at this location. As James covered during his great presentation, the primary focus here is performing the significant hill cut on the west leg of the intersection, a widening in the addition of a left turn pocket on North Territorial. So that would be the west and the east legs of the intersection. There will be a turn pocket there when we're done. And then the replacement of the culvert that's to the east of the intersection that has been problematic over the last several years with road flooding. Our hope is by replacing that culvert and taking the dip out of the road there, that improves that situation, particularly during the winter and the spring months. Dexter Town Hall will remain the stop controlled portion of the intersection. So when we've completed our work in 10 to 12 weeks, there will still be the need for traffic to stop on Dexter Town Hall Road. But the great improvement here is when you stop on Town Hall and you look to the west, you are going to be able to see if there is a vehicle approaching. I think anyone who lives or travels in this area will admit that this is a challenging situation if you're on Town Hall trying to enter safely onto North Territorial Road. I'll mention we've had portable changeable message signs, or we'll refer to them as electronic message boards, out on the job site for about the last 2 weeks. So we've got 4 electronic message boards on North Territorial Road and 2 of them on Dexter Town Hall Road. After today's meeting, we will be updating those boards again to reflect the intended closure of the intersection on February 29th, this Thursday. Also, I want to note a couple more things. James already covered it. For us to safely and efficiently perform the work at this intersection, it requires a full closure of the intersection. We do not take that lightly, and people may reasonably question, why we are not closing the intersection at North Territorial and Webster Church Road. We have the public information meeting for that project next week. On Thursday, March 7th is the public information meeting for North Territorial and Webster Church Road. We intend to maintain traffic through that intersection with temporary signals. Again, there is a great difference between the work we are doing at Dexter Town Hall Road and the work that we are doing at Webster Church Road. So it is not comparing apples to apples to say, well, if the road commission could keep it open at Webster Church Road, why can't they do the same at Dexter Town Hall Road? They're 2 very different projects in scope. So I wanted to offer that because those that travel North Territorial Road may notice a difference in these 2 intersections and the way that we are approaching the work. So again, just a few additional notes. I very much appreciate the time that James and Emma have put into preparing this presentation, and I will turn the floor back over to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Berg. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move the presentation back to the Q&A. I showed you guys how to go get the project updates and where you can find the project page located within our website. We're going to enter the Q&A now, so if anybody has questions, feel free to send it in the chat, or I'll provide you instructions on how to unmute yourself. If you're viewing the meeting from your computer, you can first make sure to click Join Audio. You can raise your hand by clicking on the Participants or on the Reactions button at the bottom of your screen. Then the Raise Hand button at the bottom right of your screen will pop up. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. As the meeting host, I will unmute participants with raised hands 1 at a time. I will announce your username or your last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. We're happy to answer as many questions as possible. Just please be respectful of each other's time. If your question is called on if your question is answered before you're called on, you can lower your hand by clicking the lower hand button or by dialing *9. Okay. So I do see that we have a few hands raised. I will go ahead and ask Matthew's iPhone to unmute himself so he can ask his question.
Yeah, good morning. Just have a couple quick questions. One in regards to the project. So the tree removal will start here on the 29th. Is the project going to begin right after tree removal, or is there going to be a gap? Because you'd mentioned you're going to try to get this done before the beginning of summer. Just trying to get an idea of the timeline.
Yes, that's a great question. We are working out all the details of them mobilizing or the contractor mobilizing the crews on site. As far as I'm aware, as of today, we are intending to start the work right after tree removals. So there will be no gap in between the trees and the work itself. Likely they will be kind of side by side as well, since they can work on both at the same time.
Okay, great. And then just a logistics question. I live in where the culvert will be going, and we'll be getting some of the wood there. I contacted Owen, I believe it's Owen's Tree Removal, but I haven't heard back to try to coordinate getting the wood, the size of the wood and that. Do you have a direct contact that I could call to try to get some of this coordination?
Yes, if you can send me an email, me and my inspector will be your direct contact on the initial process of getting the wood, and then we'll make sure to let them know as they're on site to make sure that they set that wood aside for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Now I'm going to go to a question that I received in the chat. And just a reminder, co-hosts, if you could check your own chat and make sure that any questions that were said to you are read aloud, we could do that at the end. But Chris Goodwin asked me in the chat regarding the tree removals. There is a big problem with oak wilt disease here in Western Washtenaw. Is the project aware of this and is going to accommodate seasonal aspect of trimming oak trees during the forestry phase?
So we do not have any trimming of oak trees in our project. Primarily for our project, when we do remove a tree, we just remove trees that are within our project limits and those that could be hazardous for motorists as they travel on the road. So that could be an issue that we can pose to our maintenance crews at a later time, but that would not be a part of this project.
Awesome. Okay. And then Mary Kay, I see that you have your hand raised, so I'll ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me? I live basically at the hill shave. So I obviously have a lot of concerns about access to my driveway and whether or not I will still be able to have trash removal, deliveries, and how that's going to affect me getting in and out of my driveway. And I will say, as someone who is scared daily pulling out of my driveway, I'm going to definitely appreciate that because it is really scary. So, but I am concerned about those things because trash usually approaches from going west, and there really won't be any way for them to turn around. So, and again, deliveries and mail and how that will be affected.
Yes, Mary, I do have a C-click fix that I was forwarded that you've had a lot of questions about.
Yeah.
I apologize, I haven't gotten back to you yet. I've been out for the last couple of weeks on paternity leave, so I'm really catching up on a lot of responses. So I do hope to respond in more detail to all of your questions on that C-click fix
Okay, thanks.
very, very soon. But in regards to your questions now, so we will be maintaining access for you going westbound. Like I mentioned in my presentation earlier, that it's really hard to keep someone safe while driving through this type of construction at the intersection. We really don't know what it'll look like, but it won't be drivable. So you would have to go westbound. And for the mail delivery, we have been in contact with the post office, and we have informed them that they do have to make a detour around the intersection and deliver mail. In a lot of cases, I don't know how the post office works in this area, but a lot of cases they would ask you to go in, and we usually have residents that work it out where they can deliver mail directly to the house. So that would be something that we would try to work out as the project starts. I just really don't know how each post office works in terms of how to deliver mail during projects.
Okay.
Trash and everything else, again, we're maintaining access for you. I think that turnaround, like you mentioned, would be an issue if they come from the west side. So I will make sure my inspector knows. We do have a full-time employee on site, and he will be present for all of the work during the closure. I'll make sure he knows that, to keep an eye out for the trash, and we'll try to work out how to get them turned around if they do come in from the west. Did I answer all your questions, Mary? Or
Yeah, I guess, and I'm assuming, UPS, all those people will still be able to they'll just have to come in from the other way.
yes.
I get stuff regularly. So,
Right. And all the private businesses and private
okay.
deliveries, they're there to make money. I would
Right.
assume that they want to come and deliver to your house, and they will have access from the west side.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mary.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. Elise's iPhone asked in the chat, will the same blinking yellow, blinking red light be in place after the construction is completed, or will this be a standard traffic light?
Yes, that's a great question. We will be keeping the flashing lights the same. With the only significant change with this would be the hill cut that improves the sight distance. For us to change signals or improve the signals, it would have to be warranted through study, and we just can't study it until the road has been cut down. So it could happen in the future, but as of right now, we're putting back the flasher that's there now.
Okay. And then I see that Wayne C has his hand raised, so I will ask you to unmute yourself so you're able to ask your question.
Yes, if you're heading west on North Territorial from Dexter Pinckney, will you be able to turn north on Toma?
Yes. Yep. So if you look at this map we have here, just to clarify to everybody, the closure is within the blue box. All the surrounding roads, like Sterling Trail, Brand Road, everything north, south, east, west of this blue box is unimpacted. We won't have any barricades there. We won't be closing anything off. The closure is a full closure, and it's all contained within that blue box. So you will be able to go up Toma Road if you're coming through.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So Pat Shabbat in the chat asked, how will emergency services be able to get us or get to us? They said that they live just north of North Territorial.
Yes, so all emergency services, police, they have been informed of this project. Depending on what stage the project is, it's possible for us to let them through the intersection, but it's just such a big risk for them to plan that route that way because every second does count. So we have informed them of our detour. They will likely use some of the side roads to detour around as quick as possible. But we have kept them informed that this closure is happening and they will detour as necessary to get to whichever property they need to get to.
Awesome. Okay, Renee M asked, will the exit from Copper Meadows sub onto North Territorial Road from Sterling Trail, will that be closed?
No, again, everything within the blue box is closed. Everything outside is open. Sterling Trail, I've had discussions with a couple residents in here already, but we will be implementing some signs saying that no through traffic allowed. That's ultimately, it is open. It's open for any motorists if they choose to go in there. So we're just advising with our signs that, your typical commuter not to go in there. And if they do end up being in there and they are reckless, that becomes an enforcement issue. So I would recommend, the residents here, just keep an eye out. If anybody's driving reckless, please call the cops and we'll let the authorities deal with any reckless drivers in this area.
Aaron, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just and I appreciate the previous question regarding which roads will remain open. You know, there was a question about Toma Road, more so looking to the residents that are north of the intersection, live on that northern piece of Dexter Town Hall Road. We do have a detour posted, and that was covered in some of the previous slides. We strategically picked the posted detour to, in as much as we are able to, keep traffic on a paved road. So since we are taking traffic off of a paved road on North Territorial and Dexter Town Hall, we try to follow a paved detour route. That's why the route for North Territorial is so far out of the way. You know, we're sending motorists who want to remain on pavement all the way over to M52 and then through the city of Chelsea, through the city of Dexter, and back around on the east side. It's understandable there are shorter routes available, and most notably, a shorter unpaved route for traffic on North Territorial is going to follow Madden Road, Quigley Road, and Brand Road. We are well aware of the fact that those are unpaved roads, that those roads, as of right now, do not carry the traffic volumes that are seen on North Territorial Road. But regardless of that, those are public roads. So should motorists choose to follow that route, they are within their means and it is legal for them to drive on those roads. We have spoken to our district foreman out of Chelsea. We have encouraged him to closely monitor the condition of those roads and undertake additional maintenance activities as might be needed because of that increase in traffic. Again, there's really not a means by which we can tell motorists to not travel on a public road. Sterling Trail is a little bit different because it is a private road. We will go ahead and we're going to put up a barricade and a sign at the entrance that says local traffic only, just to try to assist the homeowners there and try to reduce the cut through traffic. But ultimately, since Sterling Trail is a private road, really it's up to the residents to attend to like issues with enforcement, because it's a little bit different on Sterling Trail because of it being private, and then those other roads I mentioned being public roads. So just a point of clarification there, Emma.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
Okay. Matthew's iPhone asked in the chat, will the tree removals include stump removals?
Yes, every tree we're removing will be getting rid of the stumps as well.
Awesome. Okay, and then Dave and Wendy Ramirez asked, is the intersection closing on February 29th or will it close after the tree removal? And we confirmed that it will be closing on the 29th, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Okay, I do see someone has their hand raised with the name iPad3. I will ask you to unmute yourself so you're able to ask your question. Are you able to ask your question, iPad number 3? Okay, if you're unable to unmute yourself, just ask your question in the chat and I'll be able to read it aloud. Pat also asked in the chat, from our home, we will have to travel gravel roads, which WCRC will increase the maintenance on these roads to accommodate for this extra travel. And we explained that, yes, we will. We have our foreman monitoring this, and we'll be paying special attention to these roads, right, James?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Catherine D asked, will barriers be placed on Dexter Town Hall Road to alert traffic that Dexter Town Hall Road is closed to through traffic at North Territorial? If so, will the barriers be placed at Island Lake Road?
Yes, we do have one at Island Lake Road for people turning on to Dexter Town Hall, indicating that the road is closed through traffic.
Awesome. Okay, and then Stacy Daughtery, I see that you have your hand raised, so I'll ask you to unmute yourself.
Yes, so for Copper Meadows, will the school buses go into the subdivision? Will the school buses, or has the district been made aware that there'll be a barricade at North Territorial and Sterling Trail? And will they be able to get around that barricade?
Yes. So during my absence, a lot of my coworkers have helped me communicate to all the schools in the area. So as far as I'm aware, all the schools have been notified. And when we place the barricades, we don't really try to limit the width of the road. It's more so that it'll be kind of like on the road, but off the road at the same time. So the buses will be able to get through.
Awesome. Okay.
And if they can't at any point, just give me a call and we'll have it moved a little bit farther off the road.
Yeah, and I'll just follow that, James. And Stacy, thanks for the question. Yeah, we have been, as James mentioned, he's returning to work after being off for a few weeks on paternity leave. But myself and our fellow staff here, we did reach out to Dexter schools. We also reached out to Chelsea schools because while this location is in the Dexter school district, the Chelsea school district line is only 1 mile west of here. So we have made contact with both Dexter and Chelsea schools. We've been in contact with the parks. So again, this being nearby or part of the Pinckney Rec area, we have reached out to the DNR to inform them of the closure. We've reached out to MDOT, City of Chelsea, City of Dexter. So we've really had a wide-ranging communication on this project because of the location and because of the number of impacts that are involved in closing here.
Awesome. Okay, and I have Wendy asking in the chat a few times about the closure on North Territorial. So just to reiterate, North Territorial Road will be closed within the blue square that's up on the screen right now. It's going to be closed. No through traffic will be able to go through starting February 29th. That's correct, right, James?
Correct.
Awesome. Okay. So Brad Whitehead asked in the chat, it was a huge concern with the Copper Meadows homeowners. The road is private road in which we are responsible for our own replacements. Can the Copper Meadows subdivision request a proactive approach to the traffic cutting through the sub? We would like to request this barricade to detour vehicles. And we explained that we will be placing some signs and traffic control there, right?
Right. So we will be having a barricade at Sterling Trail at all the entrances. So on North Territorial, at Quigley, at Dexter Town Hall. And it would say road closed, no through traffic. We can't, again, as Aaron mentioned earlier, we can't enforce that. It's all an advisory at that point. So we highly encourage homeowners, if they do see unfamiliar vehicles coming through and cutting through, for them to contact the authorities. Because this is a private road, we do have a little less jurisdiction on these roads.
Okay, and then iPad number 3 asked where the traffic on Tomo Road will increase. Will you put a speed limit sign to improve safety with hidden driveways? Maybe 35 instead of 55.
So I have a couple direct messages about changing or lowering the speed limits on any of the nearby roads, Brand, Quigley, Madden, Toma. Typically, we don't lower speed limits for these type of projects. Again, it becomes an enforcement issue at that point. We can certainly look into it as the project progresses, but it's not something that we typically do prior to the closure of the job.
Brent,
And then I'm sorry, Emma, just to follow up on the previous question about the subdivision on Sterling Trail. If there are closures that you do want, we can certainly look into it, but that would be a request made to us from the subdivision itself.
Brent, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to further elaborate on the speed limit. So the speed limit, in order to establish a speed limit, we utilize the 85th percentile speed, and that's governed by law. And it's a 3-party agreement, or they all have to unanimously agree on. That's us, the Michigan State Police, and the township. And the Michigan State Police actually perform the speed study. So whenever they perform that speed study, they're looking at that 85th percentile speed, condition of the pavement, and if there's any type of crash history that would be correctable based on that speed limit. So looking at sections of the North Territorial, they're looking at what people are traveling. That's what 85% of the people traveling at or below in order to establish that speed limit. In order to artificially lower that speed limit, it would not, it wouldn't be conducive. So people are going to travel the way they feel comfortable. It then becomes an enforcement issue. And they like to establish that based on what that 85% of those people are traveling.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, I got another question in the chat from Kari. Last I heard, the new development at the corner of Dexter Town Hall Road and North Territorial Road was connecting to the multi-lake sewer. Will that be happening as the hill shave happens?
Yes, so we have been working with Multi-Lakes on, because they have relocated their line since we're cutting the road so much lower than it is before. So Multi-Lake has a tap ready for that subdivision whenever they do come in and develop. So we have coordinated all of that, yes.
Awesome. Wendy asks, again, what time on Thursday will the road close?
I can't tell you an exact time, but contractors typically like to work as early as possible. You might see people out there as early as 6 in the morning, but it really takes a tremendous amount of effort from the guys and girls there, and time for them to set everything up. So can't tell you exactly when, but just please plan to take a detour starting Thursday.
Awesome. Okay. So Pat is asking, yeah, go ahead, James.
No, you can go ahead. I have a bunch of questions that got shot directly to me, so I can answer those after.
Okay, yeah, no problem. And if you want to read them aloud, that's fine too. Pat is asking again, how we will make sure that emergency services are able to get to where they need to go within this closure. And like we said, we've communicated with all of these agencies and they're very aware of how this closure is going to impact their routes. And we're going to be working with them throughout the project, right, James?
Right. Construction is, it's very flexible, it's very fluid. Like I mentioned earlier, there are certain times where we could let emergency services go through, but we're telling them up front that, please plan for the time you need to go around. But I completely understand safety and emergencies are a big concern. We do have residents in our project that are older of age that do need a little bit more medical attention. And we're very aware of all of that. And it's a day-by-day thing for the most part, but we have informed emergency services to go around and plan to go around as their main route.
Would you like to add to that, Aaron?
Yeah, and I'll just, offer that, as James said, we are aware of the fact that we need to be in good communication with emergency services. But again, we also are keeping in mind that this is a safety improvement at the intersection. So while we factor in the need for emergency services, we are also improving the safety of the intersection. And really, this is the only means by which we can improve that safety, is we have to close the intersection. We have to do the 6-foot hill cut. And again, this is not convenient. It can be a challenge for commuters, for the schools, for emergency services, but ultimately when the job is completed, it is going to be a great improvement. What we refer to is this is a short-term inconvenience for a long-term improvement. So if everyone can bear with us during this time period, we look forward to having a much improved intersection.
Okay, and I think I got like 1 or 2 more questions in the chat. Kathy Crouch just wanted to make sure that their trash services have been notified. They said that they use a non-common trash service and it's called Silver Lake Hire Trash Company.
Okay, if you can send me their contact, I'll be more than happy to call them for you. In these areas, there's a lot of different services. Typically, they see our closure and they go around. Again, they're there to make money and profit, and if they don't hit your house, they don't make that money. So I will do my best to call every trash service that is provided to me. So if you can give me that contact information, I can certainly do that.
Yeah, okay. So Kathy, if you either want to provide your contact information in the chat or reach out to James on your own with the contact information that's been provided here, just so we can make sure we know what trash services to contact. Okay, I am not seeing any more questions in my chat, and I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised. Just to reiterate again to the co-hosts in this meeting to check their chat. And if we have any more questions, we can ask them now, but I think we're ready to wrap up this meeting.
I got a few, so I can
Yeah.
answer all these. So I got a message asking, will there be additional water flow on surrounding property? We have had flooding on Brand, as you know, from additional of 6 to 8 inches of limestone. So for our culvert replacement, our assessment of that culvert, it was failing. And it's wetlands throughout there as well. So the culvert was sinking and it was clogged. Ultimately, a lot of the flooding happened because that culvert wasn't functioning. We're raising the road just to provide an additional assurance to prevent that flooding at that location. So I like to, tell you that this culvert, as we fix it with the proper base and everything else, that it would start working as intended. And we don't forecast any flooding to happen, but if there is, please definitely let me know and we can try to figure out something else to fix that location. There is a question from, there is a Quigley. It says, good morning. I'd like to know if anything will be done to limit the number of motorists using Brand, Quigley, Madden Road as a quicker detour route. And again, as Aaron mentioned earlier, these are public roads. All motorists are allowed to use these. We have provided detour routes with plenty of signs in advance of these roads. But if a motorist do elect to use Brand and any of the shorter routes, that's something that we cannot enforce. We got more questions about using the side roads. Where will the road closure barricades be located? This is from David. So road closure is immediately within that blue box. That is my hard closure. No one can get in. Residents can get in and out as they need to, but any through traffic is not allowed in that blue box. This question says, at certain points on Brand Road, it's only 14 feet wide. If 2 people pass at speed, there will be an issue. I can't control what people do, so I really do hope people slow down as they do take some of these lower traffic roads. And ultimately, again, it's an enforcement issue. People need to be aware of the surroundings and safely drive on these shorter detour routes if they elect to use it. If a driver is going to use an unpaved road, would a county better maintain those dirt roads? As mentioned before, we will be keeping a close eye on any of the nearby roads, dirt roads. We fully anticipate people using those because they are a lot shorter than our posted detour routes, and we will do what is needed to maintain those roads at the time and after. And I think that's all the questions I got.
Awesome. Okay. So I believe that we've answered everything. Just to kind of reiterate, you guys can reach out to James, the project manager, at any time with any questions. Both his phone number and his email are listed here throughout the entire presentation, as well as on the project webpage. I highly recommend everyone to go back to the project webpage and sign up for project updates. This is the best way to stay up to date on what's happening with the project, when the closure is expected, and when it's going to end. If you guys have any further questions, like I said, just reach out to us. But thank you for attending today's construction meeting for the North Territorial Road and Dexter Town Hall Road Safety Project. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks.